And now the conversation that we're all having internally is like, okay, we did the thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? And the what's next for all of us isn't more
B&Bs.
short-term rentals. It's all something different. I just think that that's a narrative that we're not screaming online yet because we're
Mm-hmm.
just starting to all kind of make that transition, but it is a
Yeah.
very real transition that all of us are going through. All right, welcome back to Design to GlideWell. Today we're doing a little bit of a different episode because we have a girly episode instead of it being a couples episode. If you guys have listened to the podcast while it was mine and Emily's, you have been introduced to this guest before. This is not the first time we've had this conversation, but a lot has changed since the last time that we had a conversation. So to give everyone a background that may have not listened to a previous episode or maybe isn't introduced to you yet, why don't you introduce yourself and give a little background of your journey in the Airbnb space so far?
Yes, I'm so excited to be here, Sarah. Thank you. And I know you guys are missing an extra half to me, but my husband's very hard to get a hold of and even get on a podcast.
No.
But I will be the voice for our story. So for those who don't know me, I'm Zoe Burgoff, and I've been in the short-term rental space since 2020. And we have really, when I say we, my husband and I have self-funded and built over $3 million in equity in 4 years. So we have been busy. We also have a 2-year-old. So we really focus on unique stays, land development, land hacking, ground up builds, extensive renovations that take years off your life, it feels. And that's been really motivating for us to keep going in real estate because it has really paid us the rewards early on in terms of equity that we've built.
Yeah.
And we now get to be our own bank. And then also I've shared our journey on social. Sarah and I actually got started at like the same time, I want to say, on TikTok. I was like, oh, this girl's from Michigan, which I'm also from Michigan, but we are based in Colorado for all of our properties and where we currently reside. And yeah, we have a 2-year-old. I'm a mom, and I like to just get outside and really build a lifestyle profit business that aligns with the life we're living.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys have such a filled with hope story, I would say, around real estate in general.
do.
Like, you're such a testament to how much it can change your life. One thing that I want a little bit more insight on, because I think it's very unique to your journey specifically, is how you first got started in the Airbnb space. Because you are a girl that turned lemons into lemonade. And so I always think it's a powerful story that I want people to hear here.
So we first started, my husband is a pilot in his like real life, I like to say. And he built a home, single family home, and he actually had a yurt on it, which a yurt is about like a 300 square foot dome. It's not on a permanent foundation. It is like a lattice Mongolian yurt. And we were actually living in it like just to like kind of fill some time. He was like looking for a job. We had just kind of started dating and whatnot. And I was like, we should rent this on Airbnb. And Reed, my husband, was like, it's not ready. And I have so many repairs. And I'm like taking iPhone photos while he's like, it's not ready. I'm like, perfect. That's a great shot. And I put it up on Airbnb. And the first few months, I mean, this year had literally the only expense was like $100 in propane a month, basically. Like there's just no expenses. It was on a parcel of land that had a single family home, which kind of held the expenses of property taxes. So we rented out the yurt, and it was making like $3,000 to $6,000 a month. And it was like a $16,000 yurt. And I was like, definitely made us homeless that first summer.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, it just keeps renting. So we would travel in our rooftop tent, and we would let people stay in it. Mainly weekends filled up pretty fast. And that was our first intro to Airbnb. And mind you, those listening, I didn't have any podcast, no YouTube. I didn't know anyone doing this. I took the iPhone photos that I now tell my students, do not do that. And I do, in a way, think like, thank God in 2020, I didn't know anyone doing this because I didn't have the analysis paralysis because I just didn't have any info out there. I was just like figuring it out. And obviously I learned the hard way and saved my students some costly mistakes that I had to make. Yeah. But yeah, our very first rental was probably the hardest structure to rent in terms of glamping, no AC, anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys were overcoming a lot of like guest objections, and that one I'm absolutely certain. But when you think about like how much, I think the perspective that you and I have in being in the space where it wasn't popular on social media to then becoming very popular very quickly, of what it looked like in 2020 to be on Airbnb and be making money versus now. From your perspective, do you think it's harder to get into the Airbnb space now or easier to get into the Airbnb space now?
So I think if you are someone who has like analysis paralysis or perfection, it may be even harder nowadays just because there's so much noise.
Yeah.
And I don't envy the noise, but I also am like, there are so many things that probably took me like 2.5 years to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Like I had to learn, like guest messaging, don't say that, or Airbnb's policies and rules and everything. Like I had to learn those the hard way. I didn't have the Fede that would answer your DM tomorrow to answer your question. I didn't have any of that. So there was a lot of figuring it out. I now help mentees get started, and I do see so many ways that they don't have to learn the hard way like I did, because they literally have me in their back pocket of like, what about this? And I'm just like, this is what you should do. I've tested it. Here's what the results were. But in a way, I am really glad we had no noise around us other than people being like, you're crazy. But now I'm like, in today's world, you can show all these people what we have been able to build, similar to people like yourself and myself. And like, there is success there. Like, I didn't have any of that. I didn't even know what Airbnb was, you guys. Like,
Same.
okay.
Same.
Like, we were talking like fundamentals of just Airbnb to put houses on rent was what I knew.
We were running based on vibes.
Yes. Good vibes. I didn't even know. I was like, is this a tourist area? Like, are people going to come here?
Yeah.
And people loved the yurt, and I love the yurt. We no longer own it. We did sell it last year. But I mean, I had to teach people how to get to a property that didn't even have cell phone service. Like, I was like, not even just getting to the door. The door was like made out of lattice. Like, there were so many things that I was already having to figure out. Proper insurance, I didn't know who they were. Like, I was, so many things. And I'm just like, wow, I was really just figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Which it worked out, right?
Yeah, it did. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that we started when we did, because that's the hardest thing to do, is start.
Yeah. One thing that I think is particularly admirable about you and Reed is that in the last 6 years that we've been running in this Airbnb space, there has become more and more and more noise.
Yeah.
And I am queen of shiny ball syndrome, right? Like, I am excited about everything. It's very easy to get me off track. I want to try the next new thing, and that's both been good and bad, but it's gotten me distracted. It's, it's just one of those things that I look at you and Reed in particular, and you almost feel like you have earmuffs on.
We do.
Yeah, when it comes to like how you decide where to put your attention, how the pace that you're going to be moving, how you're going to be spending your money. And so I want a little bit of insight into what your internal conversations look like to keep you guys so on the same page, on the same path.
Yeah. Reed and I do live a little bit in like a alternative reality. I think sometimes like we do kind of live on like Mars a little bit, and we want to do that. Like, Reed and I are both more introverted, and we really just like the people we like, and we have kind of really stepped into that. And now it's kind of like cool to be like, sober and not drinking. But like, when I quit drinking at 23 years old, I was the weird one, and I was just like, whatever, like, I feel like this is better for me than drinking like you guys. But one thing that's interesting is like, when we first started, you and I started at the same time, and Reed and I still joke about ourselves. We're like, 6 years in and we're on property number 5. Like, we make fun of ourselves, because I remember like year 2, you acquired like maybe 4 properties in 1 year. And I'm like, how is she doing that? Like, we're on 2, and it's taking us forever to get to 2. And I do feel like over the years, it's been a solidifier for us of like, there was like a strategy that maybe we didn't even entirely know.
Yes.
We just chose, realistically, honestly, the hardest way to do it first. Like, we chose ground up development was the very first property that went live for us. That's pretty extensive for land development as your first property.
Yep.
Then we did a 15-month-long renovation, which took years off our life. And I also had a baby during the renovation, found out I was pregnant, and then had a 6-month-old by the time it went live. Like, that's how long it was.
Yeah.
And I really think we chase, honestly, what we would want to stay at. Like, we're just like, is this cool? Do we like it? Would we want to stay here? And that's kind of been like our star that we're aiming for, is like, do we think it has its wow factor?
Yeah.
But now, being in this for a few years, we are really looking for opportunity cost and where we can grab opportunity where it is. And someone just asked me, where do you find the deals that you find? They sat on Zillow for 7 to 12 months.
Yeah.
You could have grabbed them. Like, we are just finding opportunity that people don't want to take on or don't see. And it is sometimes risky, But that's how we've built the equity that we have. And now being in this for 5-6 years, we are investing for equity. That's really what we're going for. But when we first started, I mean, I ran pro formas and underwrote and stuff, but it was really just like, this could be pretty risky and it's going to be really hard, but it's worth doing when it's hard. If it's easy, everyone would do it. And we don't buy turnkey ever. That's like the one thing I've never bought.
Yeah.
One day.
No, I just think like you guys have always stayed true to what's best for you. You've never gotten caught up in the what's the new cool, hot, fast, flashy thing. And I think that one of the beautiful things about being on social media and having run alongside you for as long as we have, we've gotten to see how that's unfolded, right? Like there's always so much time left on the clock, right? Like the idea is that we get to stay in the game, but I just think that there's been such a different approach that you have taken versus the vast majority of people. And Ethan and I say all the time, we're like, you know, we've been doing this for a while and there are very few people that we know that are actually wealthy from real estate. It is a slow game, but we always reference back to you guys where we're like, they just heads down. This is what works for us. We're low and slow. We're going to make these decisions that are for us and not be able to like take in all the noise. And that's really worked for you guys.
Yeah, it has worked, but it is hard. And I want to like really stress that when we first started, like I could play comparison to you guys of like, you had so many properties in the first year. I couldn't even like comprehend the second, and you were already on 4. And I think that's also for anyone listening, like you have to follow your journey and like what speaks to you. And also we're in different markets. Like you're buying houses for what 4 houses cost me 1 house. Like that's a whole different reality you're working with. But I do think Reed and I, like out of anyone I know, and I'll say it all the time about us, like we are introverted and we don't live the same as everyone else and we don't do things the way everyone else does. And I think it's paid off. But like in the moments where it's hard, you have to choose what fits your lifestyle. And honestly, we've just kind of lifestyle invested along the way, which isn't always the best advice. But we had a kid. We couldn't manage properties across different states. So like we had to pivot that strategy. And all our properties now are like within 15 miles of each other. Yeah. So
yeah, you guys found a market that really works for you guys.
Wasn't part of the strategy when we first started.
Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned earlier that I think has become obviously much more trendy in our group now and probably across, across the nation, but is the fact that you were choosing not to drink. And I just remember like meeting you in my earlier 20s, or I guess mid 20s at that point in time. And I was just so in my hyper social, hyper party, life of the party, good time. And I remember watching you choose not to drink and me being like, I just don't, like, why? Like I just didn't get it. And now being on the other side of it, I totally get it. But how do you feel like deciding to be sober has played a role in your success?
Oh my gosh. It sounds really cliche, but the habits you choose every single day are going to make up what your life looks like. And it's not the one big decision to buy the house. It's every little thing you did to get in the ability to buy a house or whatever it may be. And I gave up drinking when I was 22 years old, which is 1 year after you're legally able to drink.
Like what?
So I didn't really, I mean, obviously, off the record, I drank before I was 21, but I went to the biggest party school in Michigan State. It's a Big Ten school. And I moved to California when I was 18 years old. I went to a community college. I paid out-of-state tuition. I paid an ungodly amount of tuition in California for a community college. And I didn't have the resources that a Big Ten has. So when I went to Michigan State, obviously it was a party school, but I graduated in 3 years with 6 internships completed. That's 2 a summer. I worked 2 internships every summer. Okay, I'll do the math there. And I looked around and saw all of these people partying Thursday through Sunday. Let's push it even Tuesday through Sunday. And I was like, I know that these resources that are available to me, even in networks, communities, entrepreneurship, groups, those don't exist for everyone. I came from a community college where none of that was happening. I took those and ran with it. And I think that really just showed me like, yes, you could be here to party, but this could really advance how you see connections and networking. So I just ran with it, and I saw a different perspective than what everyone else did. Like I was like, I know what people don't have. So when I moved to Scottsdale, which is also a very large party place.
Yeah.
I lived in Old Town District. I lived 15 feet away from the biggest party area in Old Town Scottsdale. And I have been to one bar that even exists in that block. I just decided, like, I don't want to do it. I don't like the social group. I don't like the conversations. No one remembers my name. Why am I wasting my time? No one's actually listening to me. It's small talk. It just felt really purposeless. And I also, to be truthful, had like a PTSD around alcohol from exes of how they treated alcohol and what took place. And I just was like, I'm just going to stop. And my circle changed. My friends changed. My hobbies changed. My relationship changed. Everything in my whole life changed. So I'm not going to say being sober will change your whole life, but the habits you choose when you're sober will change your life for sure.
Yeah. I think we've been really shocked by how much it pours into every facet of your life. Like, it felt like when we were still drinking, it was like, it felt siloed in those drinking moments, I guess you could say, where it was just like, okay, I'm concerned about losing a social life, and I'm concerned about being able to like separate myself from work and get my brain to turn off. And it just seemed like there was so many more obvious downsides than upsides. And then when we stopped drinking, all of a sudden when that brain fog lifts,
oh my gosh, I know.
You just realize how it pours into your confidence, your self-talk, your views of yourself days after you're drinking. And so I just think that now my perspective on thinking about you not drinking when all of us were, and then the position that you're sitting in, it's like, no wonder she had the confidence to like not like chase every single trend that everybody else was doing and feeling obligated to try X, Y, and Z and like move as fast as everyone else. Like, we were lacking the confidence by choosing to drink that you had that we didn't understand at all at that point in time.
Yeah, it's hard. It was hard to be the weird one. And at college, like, my goal would be to go to the bars and not pay for one drink because I was like cheap and I wanted to save money. And I was like, I'm not paying that money. It's $10 per drink. So like I did, and I just have been 40 in a 20-year-old's body my whole life. So just like letting everyone know that. I know it's not normal and that's totally fine. But I remember Reed and I went camping and we had a bottle of wine and we opened it and had probably 2 sips of it and the whole thing went to waste. And I was like, I'm never buying one of these again. Like, that was so stupid. So we both stopped. And I actually believe like having a partner that is also on board is equally life-changing, probably more than just yourself.
Yeah.
And it also has taken a lot of self-doubt that I think some relationships can get because I never have to have those past traumas that come up of like, what could he be doing? And I like felt those early on, and Rita's not like that at all. But I remember being like, oh my gosh, he went out to dinner. Like, is he going to come home at 6 a.m. plastered? Because I've seen that before.
Yeah.
And that was like hard to overcome that. So I really am grateful that we were both on the same page because it just kind of like got that noise away right away. And we just like to do things different, you know, it's just, but yeah, it changes your life. And honestly, I just didn't enjoy it. I don't like the feeling of it. My siblings are 25 and 23. They don't drink either.
Okay.
So this isn't just like me, you know, this is just, it must be in our blood or something.
Yeah. Your parents did something right.
Yeah. I don't know what it was, but they also, don't drink, and they do pretty extravagant things as well. Not with real estate, but in their own way.
Yeah, you've got a pretty cool family.
People say, like, what did your parents do to you guys?
Yeah.
But honestly, I think my mom let us do what we wanted to do. She never said no, and she said, you can do whatever you want. And we all believe that.
Yeah. Do you feel like you parent similarly to how you were parented, or is it a totally different?
Yeah, 100%. I'm like really type B to a fault, I think. So bad. But I really want to show my daughter, like, if I'm going to say you should do this, like, she has to see me doing that because talk is just cheap. And Rita's probably a little bit more of a dad with a daughter. And I'm just like, she's fine. She'll get up. She knows how to do it. Like, you're teaching her. Your reaction is teaching her everything she's going to believe. And I want her to believe that she can do whatever she wants. And she is with me every step of the way. Like, she's on my hip at an inspection. She's on my hip when I submit the permits. The building department knows my daughter's name before they know my name. Like, that is really what I stand by as being a parent, is like, kids are a part of your life and in society. Yeah. And I don't care if they're not a convenience, because they're not meant to just be dropped off and raised by someone else.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I mean, you're very vocal about how you parent online.
I know.
And that's obviously encouraging to someone like me who's like on the fence about having kids, because the overall narrative is polar opposite of what you're preaching and living.
Yes.
And so, like, from your perspective, did you have other than maybe your mom, did you have anyone that you were looking at being like, this is how I want to parent? Or is this like, I'm again making it up as I go and I'm just deciding that this is how it's going to be?
No, I wasn't really looking at anyone else. I mean, I think everyone's doing a great job the best they can, but like, I'm not really someone who's like, I want to do what they're doing, or I think they're doing it the best way. Like, I think I'm doing it the best way. I just like, that's how I was raised to think that. And it's not the way someone else should do it maybe, but I raised with intuition, and I say my next life I will be a doula and not a real estate investor and coach.
In this life, if I have kids, you will be my doula.
I know, I'm like, should I like be a doula?
Yeah.
But I just really believe like your intuition as a mother is the strongest, and you need to trust that. You know what your kid needs, you know how to raise them, and you know when they need you, when to step in. And that starts the day you have conceived, days before you conceive, before you have birth, everything. Throughout birth, I woke up every day. I trust my body and I trust my baby to do exactly what they're supposed to do. And I carried that through raising her. I don't know how she's 2, but it's just amazing to come to conferences or see you guys and you're like, where's Reed and I? Where are they? Like, why aren't they here? And that's because she's been with me at she's on me every conference. And like, that's really cool to see. Like, it stood out to people that I showed up with the baby on my hip.
Yes. Yeah. It feels off-brand for you not to have her attached to you.
I know.
Yeah, and she's great. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, you can tell that she's like exposed to a lot because nothing is phasing her, nothing is making her ornery, nothing's like throwing you off, like you don't feel stressed. So it's just like this energy that you and her have together that's like so
I'm
obvious.
too calm. Reed's like, does anything stress you out? I'm like, no. He's like
why?
Any cortisol rise? Nothing. I have no cortisol in me to rise. But I really think you get to parent however you want. She's been on 130 flights, 2 countries, 35 states. She's moved 4 times by the age of 1. You get to do what you want. There's no one way to raise a kid. And like, that's the beauty of having kids. Like, it's such a different talk of all the negatives out there. And I'm just like, if only people knew the positives that come with it.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
You're raising the future generation. Like, that's not easy work, but it is such a gift to do. And if you feel called to it, you should have the opportunity.
Yeah. How do you feel like from a I don't feel stressed perspective? Do you feel like you've always been that way, or do you think that it's something that you like have kind of anchored your mindset in to avoid feeling stressed? Because you guys have a life that
is stressful.
Like it is. Your life is chaotic from other people's perspectives. You are always mobile. You are always working on huge projects. You always have a million things that you're juggling. You're also doing it with a kid. Like, there's so much that you're doing, and you're saying you don't feel stressed. So like, from your perspective, is that a choice? Is that genetic? Like, what do you tie that back to?
I'm going to say it's genetic a little bit. I'm going to say that. My mom lives in a camper van at 60 years old, you guys. Like, she is the epitome of what I'm doing in a way. But I also think, like, I've always had a lot on my plate. And like you always say, like, it's just not that serious. Yeah. And time management is really important. And I just don't get that overwhelmed by external things. Like, you know, if my daughter's upset, if Reed's upset, like, those will work me up. But it's just not that serious. And honestly, like, nothing is unsolvable. The more chaos you come into a situation, the more chaos the situation's gonna become. Like, I actually think my husband, like, half the time, somehow I have a daughter and a husband that both come to me to regulate their nervous system, I think. I don't know how I was blessed with 2 of them, but I really believe, like, you are the energy that you're attracting. And we do live a very chaotic life, and we have moved around a lot. And Reed does get overwhelmed with that, probably more than I do. And it isn't easy, but like, if we're both overwhelmed, what's that helping the situation? Like, it's just how it's going. This is what we're doing, being organized. And honestly, like, it's partly genetic, I'm sure, but you just can't be. But also, like, I'm not experiencing the highs and lows that you are when you're hungover and then drinking and drugs and stuff. Like, I'm just, every day, I feel great and I'm doing the things that make me feel great. And that really helps you tackle things head on, for sure.
I couldn't agree more with that. Like, the high and low that I didn't realize that I was experiencing when drinking or just having alcohol in my system, and how that played a role into how I lead, how I show up. Like, I feel so much more even.
Yes.
And I feel so much more able to lead and ready for the stressful situation or ready to like respond. And I just didn't expect to feel that. I just expected that we were going to maybe my skin would clear up, I'd lose a little bit of weight, I'd save some money, like the very like obvious external things. It's the internal things that I just never saw coming that absolutely is like showing in your life and how it's playing out.
Yeah.
So when I look at the position that you guys are in and how much equity you've built and how you've turned into your own bank, and like money really no longer is a point of tension, it's more so like you get to build for the sake of building. When you think about what you're continuing to hold on to versus outsource, how do you decide on those things? Like, how do you decide not to just like be like, somebody else manage it, somebody else do this, I'm traveling full time? Like, you guys are still very involved. And so how do you kind of sort through where you're spending your time?
We are involved for a strategic purpose to be involved. We are choosing that because truthfully, as anyone knows who's listening, people that are hired to do something just aren't going to do it that good. And that's just the reality of it. But there is a point where you have to know when to outsource. So we used to do a lot of things hands-on. Reed did a lot. And honestly, it's now to the point where like he doesn't like carpentry. He doesn't want to build a deck. And time is money. Our last project, our overhead was $5,800 a month just to have the mortgage of the property. I calculated it once. How much does it cost us a day to have this property when it's not in live working order? So we have to outsource, and Reed does still do some things. I think that's probably been more of a learning curve for him and I as parents to a 2-year-old of like, we just can't do it all. Like changing one light fixture was one a day and it was like a win for us. I'm like, this is depressing. So knowing when to outsource, but at the same time, we always kind of say like, we are paid at the caliber to come up with ideas, tell the carpenters how to build the deck. How do we want the staircase? That is our pay grade, to be that vision. But it is now their pay grade at $25 an hour to build it the way we want. And we don't necessarily have to be the ones building it to make it happen. And I've really tried to hone that in on Reed. He's got a little bit more of like an not outdated, but like older mindset of like, if you don't do it yourself, no one's going to do it that good. And it's just not our reality. So we've taken on like the GC role, the visionaire role, making those big calls. And like we do leave projects and people still work on them. But honestly, at the rate we're doing them, at the cost they're costing us, like we can't afford to just step out and be like, let's fingers crossed. And honestly, like we do enjoy it. There's things that we enjoy. That's why we do it. We wouldn't do this if we like hated every aspect of it. But you have to know when to outsource, and what it's costing you to do it yourself is a big thing. And I think a lot of friends in our circle of real estate have taught me that of like, some things just aren't worth your time. Like your hourly rate is too high to be thinking of that problem. But I'm never too good to not service a hot tub for 10 minutes. So I'll drain it if it's going to cost me $400 because that's what the rate is.
No, it is difficult to figure out when it makes sense to outsource when you're an entrepreneur, because it's like at a corporate job, you get told when you're ready for a promotion, right? It's like you get pointed out as like, it's now your turn. Whereas in our world, it's like you have to decide that and you've done everything, right? So it feels almost awkward to all of a sudden start letting these things go. So I just feel like if I were in your position, I'd be like, all right, we've made it, like outsource it all, we're done here. I'm big chillin'.
We still think about budget though. Like even though we're on our bank, like you have never seen someone negotiate until you see my husband. My God, that man, he's like, I offered 10,000. I'm like, why don't you just offer 15? You'll get it. Nope, not worth it. I'm like, okay, whatever works for you. He negotiates every single thing, and he likes that. It's like a fun little thrill for him. But we do think about budget. We're not an endless bank around here, and we do have to have ROIs on our investments too. So that's something we look at.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does it look like now when you're thinking about growing your portfolio? Like, are you focused on continuing to build in the market that you've been building in? Do you have dreams to expand beyond that market? Are you still doing the rehabs? Do you want to continue ground up builds? Like, what is that? What's the conversations between you and Reed looking like these days?
Reed wants to buy an airplane, and I'm trying to live my life. No, we always kind of said 5 properties was kind of the goal for us of self-funded owned properties. So we are going to explore and have permits for a ground up ADU that will reach 5 for us. So that is number 5. And that should produce $650,000 in revenue a year with 5 short-term rentals in our area. And that was kind of like, once we get there, we can kind of like regroup. We do want to explore not just short-term rentals, but land development. My husband is very handy. He has lots of machines that are very large. So maybe doing some infrastructure development, offloading land to builders, doing the not fun stuff. I kind of have like themed my life to like do the not fun stuff of like, I teach my students about permitting and zoning. No one wants to talk about that, but like it's important. And Reed and I would love to, you know, bring septics to properties, bring the power, bring the water, bring the well, and sell that land and, you know, put our different skill sets to use. I love real estate. I love the equity. I love like the thrill of it, but it's not to say I want to be renovating and furnishing short-term rentals forever. And I also want to, I've built the business in life to be able to give my kids my full focus. I only have one kid right now, okay? But down the road, I want to homeschool. I want to travel with them, and that is not realistic to be renovating 4 properties a year or anything. So real estate will always be a part of it, but honestly, real estate was the vehicle to give us the life we do want to live. And you don't have to be passionate about real estate every single day to own it, to give you the passionate thing you want to talk about every day.
Yeah. This will be the last kind of shift in conversation and we'll wrap up. But I think that that's such a common conversation that a lot of us are having internally that have been in the B&B space for a long time, where we all wouldn't shut up about Airbnb for the last several years. It was like, get your properties, as many properties as possible. They've got a cash flow. This is the thing that's going to replace your W-2. And it's because we were in that phase. And now the conversation that we're all having internally is like, okay, we did the thing. What's next? And the what's next for all of us isn't more short-term rentals. It's all something different, right? You're like talking about land development. Like that's a very boring thing in comparison to short-term rentals, but it's all of a sudden like, no, we've got the lifestyle thing figured out. That's buttoned up. That's set over here. And let's now like open up the conversation to what we're passionate about or what takes less mental load or is less chaotic or whatever that looks like. And so I just think that that's a narrative that we're not screaming online yet because we're just starting to all kind of make that transition, but it is a very real transition that all of us are going through.
It is. And I also think people that are in their journey or still having it or still buying or in that first or second property, like I think it's hard for all of us to want to preach, this is now the life that real estate built us, because it's like they're still in that. But I mean, buying an airplane 5 years ago felt insane to us. And now we're putting in offers to buy an airplane. It's like things like that happen quick, quicker than you expect. I'm not buying a jet. Okay, guys, don't be thinking I'm buying a jet, but you know, we just like see like we want to show the world our kids and they can be flown by their own dad. Like, why not do that? We don't have to fly commercial. So it's given us all of us, a different lifestyle, but none of us would be here in this room or at a conference or together if we didn't make those sacrifices. And I think we're all kind of like, we did the 5-year sacrifice. We've literally lived in the sacrifice day in and day out. And I don't want people to not see that that's what they have to do to get it, because you do have to sacrifice quite a bit.
Last question I've got for you is, the narrative online has really shifted around Airbnb in general, where you're seeing a lot of people be Airbnb haters. Right? Everybody's like, Airbnb's dead.
Let them.
I guess my last question for you is, what's your perspective on that? Like, what's your hot take on whether Airbnb is dead?
It's the same take I'd have 5 years ago, and someone was like, why aren't you buying mega properties? Just stay true on the vision of what's working. I don't care what anyone says. When the numbers work, the numbers work. I think we chose unique stays early on. And I'm not saying these stays are glamping, tree houses, all this. They're just unique in their own way. There's a wow factor in each property we buy. And now that we're chasing equity, we do have to do more like boring residential type properties that can build that equity. But I am sure Airbnb sucks in, Dallas, in the 3,000 rentals that exist in Dallas. Go get creative, have fun with it. It's not supposed to be easy. I'm sorry, it's not. Like the numbers work, but I mean, Airbnb's dead. Everyone's going to travel. Tourism's not going to go away, but you need to pivot. And I think we've seen a lot of pivoting in the short-term rental industry in the last 5-6 years, and it's going to continue. So you need to find your niche and like stay in it. Like stop looking at ADUs and then mega properties and then small properties and tiny homes. It's like, pick what has worked for you or what you enjoy and like stay true to that vision. But I can say every single year we make more money on every property. So
it's far.
Let them hate.
Better for us, honestly. Absolutely. Well, Zoe, this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm so proud of you. I just think that what you're building is incredible. I think that you are such an inspiration to so many people outside of just the Airbnb portfolio that you've built. So I just appreciate your transparency around your life in general. And I just think that there needs to be more of that in the world.
Yes.
So thanks for coming on and having a chat with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been so fun.
Yeah. And to our listeners, thank you for listening to another episode. We will catch you next time.